Hello everyone. I hope life is treating you well. I have been working on a little game. This is one of the assets that I've been using. It's got cool uh, like character variation, a bunch of animations. Um, some of them are fully fleshed out. They give you sprite sheets for pre-made characters, and then they also have just individual layers. So my idea was I wanted to use the individual layers and see if I could make sort of a character creation type thing, like character designer. So this is kind of what I've been working on and what we're gonna hopefully blast through today. I yeah, we'll see how fast this goes. This might take a little bit, but yeah, we have a just like a basic load screen. I already created a character here. He's kind of playing an animation. Um, and then yeah, we can load into a different scene, load the resource or what defines this character in that world, that new scene, and then utilize that how we want. Um, we also, let me close this and then open it again. Um, I didn't really think about closing it or anything like that yet, but yeah, just have it so you can kind of delete your save file, and then when you create a new one, this is sort of the character creation. Um, and yeah, there's lots of, you can click through and yeah, we're gonna make this. So let's get started because yeah, we've got a little bit to go, but maybe as a quick overview, my idea was since they provide, or the person that created the asset provided each individual item as a file for the sprite sheet as a layer like this, I thought, why don't we iterate over all the folders in that asset folder, uh, compile them, and then when we hit start or create the world, I'm kind of doing it in a save file, but when we do that, let's just create a new image. So like this guy right here, once we hit start, we're in the world. But yeah, let me open up the user data folder where you would see the saves. Sorry, save one. We would have the save file itself, but we actually just generated a brand new character sheet for that guy. So yeah, then my idea was, yeah, we could do that. It would simplify things a lot because then we can just load this file for the animation, for the animated sprite 2D within Godot, and yeah, it seems to be working pretty well. So let's get started. I'll kind of share and show what I've got. And yeah, this is a blank project. We're going to, at first, I've downloaded the asset. I believe this is a paid asset. I think it's still on sale. It's $20 normally. I got it on sale for $10. But yeah, I'm just going to copy out these sort of the individual sprite sheet layer, and where's the other one? The pre-built sheets, because we can also use this system. I haven't really done it yet, but use it for like enemies, like preloading different sheets for enemies. So I'm just going to paste this in here, and then we can get out of here and here, and we should be able to see these load up here. I'm gonna make a new folder, and also, so yeah, bear with me as I do this because this is kind of my first tutorial video, and yeah, this is definitely a big one, and I'm not, I don't really know how to speak to an invisible audience that's not here, so um, yeah, so we loaded in our assets. I also have a side project that I'm sort of referencing as we go. So I'm going to create a new folder. We're going to call it scenes. And then I'm going to create a new scene. Actually, let's do one more folder, I think. And we're going to call this just that sort of save scene. Save scene. And that we're going to make this a UI node. And just to make sure, okay, we're all good. And yeah, in that save scene, I'm going to create one. So I'm kind of imagining here's the camera. I'm imagining like 3 big boxes and then those delete buttons, like pretty simple. And then yeah, the whole thing with this is like we're going to kind of go through making one of these this way with the UI, but with all those layers and everything, we wouldn't really, there's no way we would be able to connect when you start adding a bunch of items like that. So there's, connecting all the buttons and all that. It has to be programmatic in some way. But yeah, so I've created a couple, a UI node, one underneath, and a button. I'm gonna call this one just start one. No, excuse me. So these would be the different sections, and yeah, these are gonna be really rough as we go along, but I'm just gonna reference it and not think about it too much and move on. But this is a save one. And we are also going to do a delete button and just call this delete one. Let's go ahead and hide it. Let's make a new animated sprite 2D. We're going to hide this as well, and we'll worry about that in a little bit. But for this button, before I do hide it, I want to like resize it and put this sort of like right here. It doesn't really matter. This is all just for demo. Okay. And then this will go, we'll put this guy just right here. And we'll actually go ahead and scale him like, I don't know, like 4 times. I forget what I did here. Let me double check. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, so yeah, we've got this save button, delete. We're gonna keep the delete and the sprite hidden, and then we're gonna go ahead and add a new script and just call it the same thing, like save scene. Keep it in the same spot. And yeah, let's sort of get coding. I know this is not going to be perfect as well, so yeah, just bear with me, because it's just a lot to conceptualize, and I need to kind of go through and clean up the code. But one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to make this like where we're going to save our files into this saves folder. And then one thing I want to do as well in this project is, let's find it, the config. Let me open up this other project, but we essentially are going to try and save the, set a specific save location for the user directory. So, where is that? Sorry guys, I know this is in here somewhere. Input editor. No. File system. Where is that? I thought it was like right in. Oh yeah, you have to hit advance, that's why. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. And then we're gonna say a custom user directory. And we'll just call this, since this project is called Character Designer, we're just going to call this Car Design. And I think that should do it. A couple other things I'm going to do is just set this to be maximized. And also on our import for rendering textures, we want to do, since we're using pixel art, we want to render it to nearest on any of our imports, and that should help us when we're viewing this stuff. yeah, to render it properly. Okay, so where are we at? We've got our basic scene. We are in our script. We're gonna keep going here now that we have that. We're gonna do just some really simple variables. Save one file, save file path, plus save one, plus save one dot truth. This is like the resource file. Save file name, and let me double check. Actually, we don't need this. Okay, so we have we're gonna just go into our ready. We're just gonna make some basic directory checks to make sure where we're trying to save is either there, and if it is there, we continue, and if not, then we make them. So we're saying, does the folder that we exist, which would be like saves/save1, then we're just going to say save folder found, and then otherwise we're going to say directory access dot make directory recursive absolute save file path plus save one. So yeah, this is just going to make sure that our save one folder always exists. And then we're going to say if file access dot file exists, save file path save one plus char sheet. And yeah, we're not quite there yet, but this is that custom PNG that you saw in that folder that I showed you. If that file exists, then what we're going to do is we're going to create a global called utils, and that's going to be called, we're going to say update sprite sheet for animations, save file path plus save one, char sheet.png. Okay, and then we're going to set this to be our save one. So we're going to create this in a little bit, but it's saying grab the file path that we've got here, and yeah, this could be variables and cleaned up for sure. Just sort of quickly copying, and take the node that we want to reference and apply this sprite sheet to that node. So yeah, we've got that. We're also going to say save one dot play, and then save one slash animated sprite dot goes true. Just some really quick UI stuff to make this all showable. So we can start, let's see, what else we have in our ready script. We have a sort of like a refresh buttons, save one, start, we're going to pass the button, save one, save one, delete, and then, so we're going to pass these items into this refresh buttons function. And we can just do, we're going to do save, start button, delete button, and the animation. And we're going to say if the directory access save file path. So if the save that we're loading has files here, then we're gonna do save check player data. So we're gonna make this class equals resource. Let me see, resource loader dot load save file path save plus save plus tres. So we're just gonna load in the file, and we're gonna call that save check, and then we say if save check does not equal null, and I think I did it that way. Save check dot last played does not equal null. We're going to also put in the last played. Start button text equals last played. Save check. So from our save file, last played. Oops. Okay. So yeah, if we've got a save and we load it and it's not the last played isn't null, then we're gonna change the button, programmatically change that button, and then we're gonna say else the start button text equals new game. Okay, and then we're gonna connect up a couple signals. We're gonna say if the start button is connected, we're gonna to the pressed signal callable. We're going to call create character pressed, and then we're going to bind the save to that call, and we'll keep going, and I'll show you a little bit more as we go on, but we still have a lot to go. So disconnected pressed. So if the press signal is connected to that callable, then we're going to disconnect that same callable. And yeah, I always appreciate anybody having better ways to do this stuff. I am not a game dev by trade. Is connected. So if the pressed signal is not connected to the callable of start game from load dot bind, we're going to load the world and the save. Okay, start button dot connect pressed, and then we're gonna do that. We're gonna connect it up, that same one. So if it's not connected, connect this one up. Okay, the start button is connected pressed callable start bind world and save, bind world and save. So yeah, this is, what's our error here? Okay, if not, start button dot disconnected, press, callable. Okay, that's all we did. We had an extra parenthesis in there. So yeah, if that's the case, we load up those signals that are going to kind of handle whether we're going to go to the character load screen or the actual world itself, and then we pass in the load that we're clicking on, one way or another. Delete button, we're going to set the delete button as false. Start button text is start new save. I think that's where we set it, so this actually shouldn't. If that doesn't exist, or if it's not null on that, then last played, and then yeah, we can do that. Start new save right there. Okay. Okay, so that's that function. We still have a few things that we need to create from here. We have this create character. Where is it? Create character pressed function, and that takes a save name, and so we're gonna make a global variable called current save and set it to that same file path, say the save name that we just gave it, name plus a slash plus a save name plus a .tres. And then we're going to do also a global var dot current save folder equals save file path plus save name plus this. So that's our current save folder. We're going to say if the directory exists absolute, the global var of the current save folder. So if that folder exists, then we're going to say, just say like found save folder. We don't really need to do much after that. Otherwise, we need to create it. So a directory access dot make directory recursive absolute, and we'll pass in that folder. And we can just say made save folder as well. And then we're going to say if file access file exists global vars dot current save. Okay, this one's just saying if we found the current save file, then we're just going to say found file. We're just making sure we got these and are otherwise creating them at this point. Whoops, we want that. And we say, for this, we say file access dot open, and we're going to put in the global vars current save, and then we're going to say file access dot read write for the permission. Okay, and then we're going to just print like individual file made so we know. Then what else do we have? Var char selection equals load res. We're going to just say scenes, and we haven't made it yet, but we're going to say player designer scene dot tscn dot instantiate, and then we're going to say get tree dot get root, add the child of the char selection, and then call, I don't know why I called deferred, but you could probably just queue free here, but yeah, queue free, so we delete this scene. And then there's just a few more functions in this. I know this is a lot for the save stuff, but it'll help get out of the way. But the next one we have is the other function that we have that we connected to the buttons was start game from load, and there we take a level and a save name. And we say our global vars, let's move that in, global vars dot current save equals save file path plus save name plus slash plus save name plus dot res. Cool. And then the current save folder equals save file path plus save name plus, and then a little slash, so that's our current folder. Start load equals load. We're going to do the resource of the scenes, the world, and then we can say the level dot tscn, so we can pass in dynamic levels if we want, and then we dot instantiate that, and then we add that, get tree dot get root dot add child, start load, call deferred. I'm just going with the project at this point because I want to just make sure that everything is the same. Then the last thing is we have a delete save, or delete save folder, and I think the way that I hooked this up was just a simple parameter in the button on the on the onClicked event in the UI. Move absolute. Let's just finish this up. Save file path, save folder plus save folder plus dot res. It's not the most elegant, I will admit, but we're gonna get through there, and then we can kind of show how we can do it a little bit better with programming for at least the images. File path, save folder, and this is going to be our char sheet.png access.remove absolute, save file path. Just going to get rid of all these guys. Save folder, and then this one, just so we do it at that level. Make sure we get all of them. And we're going to call ready, which should be good. And then we also are going to make one final, actually we can do this one by hand. So we go to the button itself, the delete button. We're going to do the pressed signal, just say on delete one pressed is fine. And then on that button itself, when you edit this, I think if we do advanced here, we're going to choose a string and pass in save one. Whoops. There it is. You have to hit add save one, and then connect that. So when you hit this button specifically in the UI, it always is going to pass that save one parameter, and we're just going to use that for this backend and kind of reference the folders. Like, something I'm trying to do also through all this is keep it sort of unified. I know there's quite a few spots where we could have some variables fixed up, and I apologize. But yeah, we'll just get through it, and then we can kind of talk about this stuff. But yeah, the next thing, let's look at all this, because what we're missing is a lot of these singletons that we made. So like the first one we should talk about is probably this global var. So the next thing I'm going to do is just make a new folder called resources, and I'll probably just put, let's do the auto load is what we'll call that. Auto load. We're going to create new script. We're going to call this global var. Global var. Yeah, global var. And let's take a look at what we do here. We're just going to say const default save folder equals saves. We're in that folder. Var current save equals user plus default save folder plus slash var current save folder equals user plus default save folder plus slash. Okay. We're just going to keep the save to the base save spot for now, the current one, and then the current folder as well to the base spot, and we update those. We could update those to kind of like auto load later on, but yeah, that's going to be that. We're going to add that sort of as a singleton. From auto load, global vars, add, close. And when we do that, now it's got that name associated with it, so all of these should fix up. And then I think I misspelled this one. And let's see what we do next. Next we've got sort of the player data. So I'm going to make a new folder called resources. And we'll make a new script and call this one player data. And this is also something I think needs a little improvement, because I do get some warnings towards the very end when you're running it, but it's we'll have to see if other people kind of know. You can let me know. But yeah, so I've got just sort of an image paths array, which is going to reference these pre-built the individual sheets. It's going to be an array of which one the player chooses, and then the last played is just a string of the date that they last played. So that's all for that. The next resource is going to be this. We're going to append. It's just a string for now, but I have it separated out. I think I need to change this to an image resource, an image type, for it to not give me the warnings. So if I can figure that out, I will let you know. I'm just pasted that one because it's real small. So we're just extending the resource. We give it a name of image resource. The name is just undefined. When you initialize it, just change the name to what you initialized it with. And yeah, those work like that. So we need to add, actually that should be finding, let me see if I close, if that helps. Yeah, there we go. So it is able to load the image resource, which is just a string, put it in as I need to work on that being an image, put it in an array, and that's how we'll build the sprite. So there are a couple, so let's see what else we're missing here. This is our save scene. So we've got our player data. The next thing that we haven't really done, we probably need to come back to this guy, because this is all about taking in the character sheet and appending it to the sprite sheet, using that image file, so updating that node to use that file. So for now, let's comment this out and pray that we don't forget it, and let's go to make a new scene. Let's just set this as the current one and make sure. So we're here. Okay, here's the sort of the result here. I'm gonna see if I can do a couple things, like set this to be set the display. Whoops, not the editor settings, but the project settings. We're gonna just set the display to sort of match up on the canvas items. We're gonna keep the aspect ratio. And let me check one more thing actually. If we can set it to open up on, yeah, maybe it should be opening right here, but it doesn't seem to want to, so let's try this one more time. Yeah. Let me check this real quick. I think I may have edited my editor settings. Sorry, give me 1 second. Display, theme, appearance. I know I think I just set the window placement. Yeah, maybe we can do screen 1. Does that help? Or what was it? Same as editor. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Sorry about that. I was tinkering around with multiple monitors. Godot doesn't really render super well from my experience. Godot 4 on a separate monitor. Like this is a high DPI and then it goes to a low DPI. But anyways, we're gonna check in on that. We're gonna make a new scene, and this is gonna be called our player designer. So let's make a new folder and call it player designer, and we'll add a new folder for this guy as well and call it save. Move these in here. Okay, add a new scene, player designer. Let's see what we got. This is going to be an interesting one. So we have, let's actually, I apologize, we can just change this type real quick. We just want it to be a Node 2D as the base. So we've got player designer. how does this look? How did I do this? So we add one node that's just going to be another node 2D. We're going to call this our character. We add a node that's in, a VBox container. So our character is going to be right here, and then we're going to have the items that that they can choose from load in right here. And we're going to call this node UI. And then we're going to add a camera 2D just so it kind of centers in on the character. And let's see what else we've got. I'm just going to add a, where's this camera? Camera UI. Yeah, there we go. So we'll add another button, and we'll just call this like back. And then we'll do one more and call this start. Okay. What do we do over here? Why not? Okay. So yeah, then let's take a look at these. We can do these really quick because they're similar and we can sort of copy and paste. But yeah, whoops. So start, back, start. We just want to hit press. Yeah, we can do that. On start pressed for player designer. Yeah, if we do this, it'll create a new script for us. It should put it in the folder. Or we have to create one. Okay, that's fine. So we'll just go to the top level, player designer, player designer. Should just all be localized there. It's all good. And then, yeah, we'll do pressed, connect. So when the start's pressed, we're just going to say, we're just going to load in the other scene. Res slash scene slash the save scene. Oops. Dot instantiate. And then what do we do? Get tree, dot get root, dot add child, start load. Yeah, I removed a lot just so that this wasn't going to include things like scene transitions and stuff like that. But yeah, let me know if that's something I should try and check on. Okay, so we've got that. And then on the on start, let's go ahead. Oh, I did that a little bit backwards. That's okay. We can just create an on back. Let's go ahead and move this right here. And then we can do we can just paste this since we're going to use this. But we're just going to load in world, and on start pressed, selected animations equals, we're going to say the character get children, and for A in selected animations, player data dot add item to animations a dot animation resource saver dot save the player data global var dot current save. So selected animation is going to be the character children. And we need to add in, sort of at the top here, our player data equals player data dot new. Rights directory equals. So this is going to reference where our sprite sheets are. Let's see how we called it, what we called it. Let's call it sprite sheets. Okay, so when we hit start, we're going to get the children of this node, which are a bunch of animations that we're going to programmatically create. And it's going to go through and grab them all, and it's going to add them to that array that we were talking about. And the thing is the animation name is going to be the path. So it kind of is a little streamlined in that way. And then we just save that once they hit start. But we have a few other things because, yeah, there's quite a bit with programmatically loading that. So I wrote this down. It's probably going to be good to write it again just so we remember, and hopefully I don't miss too much. But here's some quick pseudocode. We're going to scan the sprite sheet folder for directories. And then we're going to go, like, each directory is a layer. Then what do we have to go through each of those directories? And then and for each file, like this is what we'll be doing. We'll be saying create a sprite, so sprite frames. Create a animated sprite 2D and add the sprite frames. Then what do we say? We're going to say add animated sprite 2D to scene. Then we're going to say create the visual control for the layer. Then we're going to say use file names for the label. Add it to scene. So it's not the best pseudocode, but yeah, we're going to try and go through each of these and recursively like dive down and check it out. So anyways, the sprite folders. So we're gonna say the get directories at our sprites. So if we have if we have sprite folders, then for the layer in sprite folders, we can just say like print, and this is going to be the 1, 2, 3, 4 animated or animation 2D node and the layer. And then we're going to say the recursive files equals get files from folder recursively the sprites directory plus the layer. And then we're going to say recursive files dot sort custom, and this will help. I'll explain a little bit later, but it just helps us sort the files in a way where when I add a file with a 0 at the front, it'll always be first. Natural no case compare to, that's at 0. And then we're going to say create animation 2D nodes with the recursive files and the layer, and we're going to say create selection buttons with the recursive files and the layer. Let's see what our error is real quick. Oh, we don't have these functions, so okay. Let's get started. We've got a little bit of code here to get going on. So first thing we'll do is this get get files from folder recursively. And we're past the folder path. So that's the folder path where the sprite sheets are. Okay, we have an array called files. We have directory access, open the folder path. If the directory exists, then the directory .list dir begin. Change here, yeah, okay. Our file name equals dir.get next. So we're starting and getting each file name. While file name does not equal this, if dir.current, if it is a directory, then files plus equals get the files recursively from the folder path plus slash plus file name. So we add those files from that directory if it is a directory. Otherwise, if not, string, it looks like we do folder path plus, oh, I think I just did this to do a quick little fix, because whenever you are working in Godot, this is going to be looking at this folder specifically, but Godot will add a sort of an invisible file called with a .import. So I just say if the file contains .import in the file name, then files so if it doesn't contain the import, then we're going to append the actual image file. Folder path plus slash plus file name. And then we say right here, file name equals dir.get next. So we go to the next one, and dir.list dir end. So if we've got something, we begin, we go through the file if it has it. So this is just getting all the files from a folder, and we do that for each folder. So if we look at the folders here, we've got all these. I'm going to get rid of this tools folder because I know that's not necessary. But yeah, this is essentially all the individual layers. Like we're looking at the skins, it's got like humans and skeletons, the different types of skins, and there's different shoes and stuff. But some of the folders will have new folders in them, so we sort of have to say, oh, this is a folder when we were looking for an image. Let's just go down here and find all the new ones, and we just keep doing that until the very end. So in each layer that we're iterating over here, we now have a list of files that exclusively belongs to that layer. So now that we have that, we can pass that layer and those files into this new function called create animation nodes. And let me see where that is in my reference project. Okay, create animation nodes. And we pass in, yeah, the recursive files and the layer. And so we went over this in our pseudocode a little bit, but we're going to first make some sprite frames. And those sprite frames, it's going to be sprite frames.new. We're making a new one. Then we're going to say var layer animation animated sprite 2D dot new. We're going to make one of those, and we're going to say we're going to do var layer animate. What did I do? Layer anim array equals this, we're gonna say for, we could just say, yeah, I don't know why I use B in my reference project, but sure, let's keep rocking with it. For B and recursive files, layer animation array, we're gonna append that item. Then what do we have? The sprite frames. So in our sprite frames, it looks like I tried to remove the default just because it looks like they always add one in there by default. Then we say add animation, and so this is going to be like when we look at what B is, it's really just a location. It's like res colon slash slash assets this all the way, so it's just a file path to an image. So we're adding an animation with that name. Then we're saying set animation loop to be and true, just so we can do that. So the sprite frames, sprites frames, I don't know, I called it that, is there. Then we need to add to that the actual frames, and we're going to make a few other items through code with that. So var idle anim size vector 2 64 32. So I know that these are the sort of the dimensions of that sprite sheet. So if we looked at it, each of we're just going to create an animation that really, it's 2 frames. It's like the guy standing up and the guy sitting down, and it's the first spot. If you were to look at sort of like a box, it's the top left. It's the first image and the second image. And so what we're going to do is just for every folder for every file that we have found for each layer, we're going to pull out those 2 spots and create an animation mixture for it. So an atlas texture, and add those frames to it. So we'll see it as we kind of get going along here. So animation size, var sprite size, so this is the actual size of one frame for the sprite. Full sprite sheet equals texture. So we're going to load that file. That's a texture. Num columns equals, it's an int, and it's an int of the idle anim size y divided by the sprite size x. And then we're going to say for the x chords in range num columns, for y chords in the range of int of the idle anim size dot y divided by sprite size dot y. Then we're going to say frame texture is a new atlas texture. The frame texture frame texture dot atlas is the full sprite sheet. So we've loaded the file, and now we're saying this atlas texture is using that file. Then we're going to say frame texture dot region is going to be a rect2, and the first part of the rect2 is going to be a vector2, and it's going to have the x chords and the y chords, and the second vector2 is going to no, sorry. We're going to take that and we're going to multiply it by the sprite size. and then the second vector 2 is going to be the sprite size. So the sprite size is right here. Okay, and then the last thing we do is the sprite frames. We're going to add the frame of that name for that animation and the frame texture. Cool. And then sprite frames, dot add frame, cool. I think at that point, we're inside triple looped here, but I think at that point we can say this is the animations inside the animation 2D. What am I missing here? Sprites frames. Okay. Then so when we're in there, we can say for X in the layer anim array, print. Oh, interesting. Oh, I'm printing all of the files that exist in there. Let's do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's X. Okay. Then we now are in the layer animation, and we say the name is the layer. Layer animation scale. Oh, I scaled it here so we could see it really good. Layer animation frames, sprite frames, animation, layer. So we're just gonna say it's the layer anim array. It's the item, the first item in there, and the layer animation dot play. And then we say character dot add child layer animation. Okay. So this is character dot add child animation. Okay, so we've done the first part where we have added the 2D node into this character node right here. The second part is this UI. So this UI node, every time you add an item to it, it's basically like, it's like a new row. It's like a vertical stacking row type object. Like if I added the button, I can control Z it, but if I added the button in here, that's 1. If I add another button, boom, that's 2. So it always just like stacks it. And so, yeah, what we want to do is take this and sort of add like what you saw in the demo, the name of what item is selected for that animation, and then some buttons, and the layer that it is, like the head or the body and all that good stuff. So we need to make those UI elements in code since we have so many of them. So let's see if we can quickly whip through this guy, which I know we're already at a really long video, but what can you do? Recursive files, the layer, index is 0, item name array equals this, for X in recursive files, item name equals, so I do some interesting things here. It looks like I'm just trying to get a simpler name for the item instead of like the full name of the file path. So we take the file path, then we're going to replace the sprites directory. So we've got the directory of where the sprites are and that layer that it came from. We're going to replace that with nothing. Then we're going to replace the rest of that, which should just be like any subfolder and then the name and then the extension. So we're just going to replace .png with nothing. We're going to replace any open some spaces with nothing. What else we got? Replace whoops, replace any slashes in the folder names with nothing, and then dot replace dashes with nothing. I know this is not ideal, but this is just like a quick way to get a clean file. I think that's it. And then yeah, what's the deal? Oh, I spelled replace. Where did I? There it is. Replace. Then we say item name array dot append the item name. Okay. Then we're gonna say layer UI is a new, and just like that other vertical box container, we can create HBox containers. And so we're gonna do that to sort of hold like the info of all the layer. So first we're gonna do a new label, and we're gonna say label.text equals layer. Yeah, the layer that we're on. Then we're gonna say layer UI dot add child that label. So now that's in the HBox. So then we're gonna create a quick counter label so that we know which one we're on, since we're kind of dealing with all this through names and stuff, and there's probably better ways as well to do this. But yeah, this should just allow us to kind of keep an index of which one we're on, and then use the array to sort of show what we want from there. So counter name is the counter plus the layer, and then we say counter label dot name equals counter name, counter label dot text equals a string of the counter, and then counter label dot visible equals false. We just don't want to see it, and then we'll say layer UI dot add child counter label. So we added the counter. Then we're gonna say this is our left button, so we'll make a new button, and we're gonna say L button dot text equals, we're just gonna have this be a little arrow for the left button, and then we're gonna connect a signal to that button. It's a press signal. We'll add this in here, but this is gonna be a signal called previous selection, and we have to pass some items into it. The item name array, the recursive files, the layer, the counter name, and I think that should do it. And then, yeah, then we want to layer UI dot add child L button. Okay. Then we want to do the right button. So let's just copy this, and we'll call this R button. We'll fix this up. Boom, boom, boom. We'll change this to this right angle thing. We'll call this next selection. I think we can still just pass all the same variables. Yeah. Okay, and now that we have the buttons, the last thing we want to do is add, what item it is. The selected label equals label.new. Selected label.name equals name layer. Name plus layer, selected label.text equals the item name array, and then the index, the layer UI, then we want to add it, child selected label, and then we want to say layer UI.name equals the layer. Okay, and so then we want to say UI add child the layer UI. Holy cow, okay, I think we did it. Or we're getting closer. Don't get your hopes up. But yeah, we're almost there. So what have we done here? What have we done? We finished this up. So we have the player designer, which is going to load in the character's idle animations for each layer, and then add all those selection and buttons and everything. Let's see what else I'm missing from here, because I know we're missing a couple things. So one of the first ones is when we were loading in the save file, we commented out the utils.update sprite sheet. So I'm going to just copy this name, and we're going to make this in the auto load, and we're just going to call this utils, and we're going to add that as an auto load. Add, close, and then in here, yeah, let's take a look. So this extends node. Let's build this function now. Update sprite. Whoops, I think I pasted this. So we have the name, but this is function update sprite sheet for animation. And then we have, what do we have? We have the sheet and the node. So we'll call this sheet and node. And then what do? We say new image equals image.load from file, and that's where we've got our sheet. And then we say a new texture equals image texture.create from image, and that's our new image that we just made. And then we say full sprite sheet texture 2D equals texture, the texture that we just made. We just created a texture 2D. Then we say our reference frames, our sprite frames equal the node sprite frames. Then our updated frames are sprite frames.new. So we get our old ones and our new ones, and I believe the reason we're doing this is so that we can set where we're at. I think this is commonly referenced when you're trying to do the you're trying to set the speed with the reference. They talk about this a little bit. I think I enhanced it a tiny bit. But so we've got for the animation in reference frames dot get animation names. So for each of those, we're going to say updated frames equals, or dot add animation, that animation, updated frames set animation speed to the for that animation to the referenced frames get animation speed for that animation. Updated frames dot set animation loop. I think I just set them all for the reference. Frames dot get animation loop for that animation. Then for I in reference frames dot get frame count animation, updated texture, we're going to create an atlas texture, and it's going to equal the reference frames dot get frame texture animation I dot duplicate updated texture dot atlas equals full sprite sheet, and updated frames dot add frame animation updated texture. Then we say the node dot sprite frames equal the updated frames. And I think that should be good for this util. And so there's a little bit going on here, but there's reusability. So when we were looking at that sprite sheet from before, I guess I didn't have it open, but that is, it uses the same sprite animations across the board. So if you're looking to create a game where your character is using the same positions in the sprite frames as the enemies for run, idle, all that stuff, it kind of makes things really easy, because now let's keep looking at, we got all of our auto loads. I think we just want to make our animation for the player. So we were looking in here, we had one here. Let's make a new one, and then what we want to do is just save as, and I'll put this in the resources just as like animation. And yeah, when we come in here, this is going to reference it now, but I'm going to get rid of this first one. Whoops. And or yeah, I do want to delete that animation, or I guess I could have renamed it, but yeah, we're gonna just call this walk 0. We don't really, well, we'll have it loop for now, we'll have it autoplay. And just to visualize it, let's use one of these pre-built sheets. Let's use Carl. So whoops, it always does that, it's like auto select, but let's see how many horizontal or vertical we're looking at. Yeah, there's 8 vertical, and I think it's 29 horizontal. So let's look at the walk animation here. We can see it's like, I was using these guys, and here you can kind of see the idle, the first two that I was talking about, the squat and this. But I was using these 4 frames for the walk, and for this other project that I'm working on, I sort of have the 8 directional set up, and maybe I can make another video on that at some point. But I just used this with 0 being this way, 1 being this way, 2 being this way, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you sort of reference the angle through where the mouse is to position the direction of the character. You guys have probably seen that if anyone's looking at this and knows what it is. But yeah, so let's add the walk animation here. But yeah, this is kind of the nice part, is we have this animation saved as a resource, so we can add all these animations. And what this function in the utils does is essentially just strips out the picture and replaces the picture for all the animations. So you can keep one and reference it all over the place. Let's see what else we got here. So we got the animation, player designer I think is good, the save scene. So I think now we just want to load into the world. So let's create a world. We're just going to create a new folder in the scenes area called world, create new, called world. And sorry, this is going to change back. I think it's just saves whatever we had last, but let's just do this as a node 2D. And yeah, so let's add an animated sprite 2D, and let's go ahead and add our referenced animation. And then what else did I do? Sorry, I'm double checking my project once more. I think we can just, oh, okay, I added a camera so that it'll focus right on this guy. And then we can go ahead and go into the code here. And yeah, so the first thing we're gonna do is look at player data dot new. We're adding a new player, or we're pulling in the new player data from the load. We're gonna say the char sheet equals the global vars dot current save folder plus char sheet dot png. So in the ready function, char sheet global, oh, I called it global var. In the ready function, we're going to say print. We actually don't need to do this. We can say player data equals resource loader dot load the global var dot current save, and we'll duplicate that, all the sub items, in case we have them someday. Then we're going to load the character, and then we're going to say animated sprite 2D. Oops, let's play the animation. Okay. Whoops, I don't know why I did that. But now we're going to create this, the new function of load character. And we're going to say, let's make a new PNG. And then we're going to say utils.update that function that we had, and we're going to say global var our current save folder plus char sheet.png, then our node that we want, which is now in the world. So we're like, let's make a new PNG, and then let's attach that PNG to that node. Then we're going to say time equals the string time dot get date from, get date string from system plus time dot get time string from system. Okay, and then we're going to say player data dot update last played with the time, since we're just loading the character. And then we'll say resource saver dot save player data and the global vars dot current save, so it knows to go to that spot, global var current save. So now we need to make new PNG, and these might be good items to put in the util area as well, since you could use them in multiple worlds and stuff. But yeah, so let's create a new PNG. So we're gonna create, we have multiple images for each layer. Let's create an array for that, and then say for x in player data dot image paths, that array that we have been appending to. We're gonna append these directories to was it images dot append x dot image name, and then var combined texture image, it's of a type image, equals merge images, and then we're going to say combined texture dot save PNG to the char sheet. So let me see what this merge images, merge not base self. Let me see, merge combine texture. Is this a node 2D? Yeah. Merge images. Oh, duh. I'm sorry. Getting tired. So we need a new function called merge images. And that's going to take the image paths, and we're going to say base image equals a new image, then base image equals image.load from file. So we pass in the first image, which is like the body, I think, the first layer. Then we say for I in range of the next one, instead of 0, bump it up 1 to 1, and then do image paths.size. And we say image equals new image. We make another image, and we say image equals image.load from file, image paths of I, so 2 to the end, and then base image dot blend rect, the image rect 2, vector 2, so we start at 0, image dot get, we go to the end, then we have a vector 2 of 0, 0. I think this is like the position, I forget. It's like, or how much to blend. There's a lot of parameters in there. Destination, that's right. Okay, so then we blend it so that the alpha is good. Then we return the base image. Okay, let's see what we're missing, if anything. I think we got the world. So yeah, if you can kind of see how we're doing it, we're loading the character, we say, hey, make a new image. It pulls in from the save, the array from the image paths. And then, yeah, we use that utility function to replace all the images in the animation node that you also pass in, so it kind of updates it on the fly. And then we're just getting a string here to update the last played time and then save into that. So let's see if it works. I don't imagine it will the first time. Okay, so we're here. We have save 1. We hit save 1. Okay, let's see where we broke. Delta anim. Save 1. Save. So we're in our save scene. Okay, let's see if we can debug it together here. Let's set this debug point, because I think we're able to get to the refresh buttons, or we should. Yeah, so let's go. Yeah, we're trying to refresh the buttons. Oops, I jumped too far ahead. I wish I had a proper function key with a Mac, but what can you do? So we're saying get the files at, we're here, saves / save 1. Let's see what happens if we get to here. Whoops. Go to Godot. Later, resource save. So let's take a look at what we got in our folder. So we have saves, save 1, but we don't have the file. So resource saves. Let me check that I did the whole oh, I forgot a whole else part of the refresh buttons. That's my fault. That's probably why this isn't doing its thing. Yeah, so I ended with start button, that text, start new save. I think I got a little sidetracked here, so let me just make sure that these are good. I think we were good up to here, and then in here we wanted to say anim.visible equals false. We say if, so, okay, I see. We're saying if there are files there, do this, otherwise we do that. So if the start button is connected, then we disconnect the pressed for the start game because we don't have the file, so we're not trying to start the game. And then we say if not, start button disconnected pressed. This one's going to be that character created. And then was it bind save? He just says save, so we just can delete that. He being me. And then now, what do we got here? We do those and we say delete button, whoops, del button dot visible equals false. I think this actually, we want this to be true if there is a file there. Otherwise we want it to be false. And then we say the start, oh, That's where we had it. I think I got a little confused, but this is where we'd say start button dot text equals start new save. Okay, let's see how this works, if this is able to show us start new save. Okay, we're getting further. Recursive files, get files from folders recursively. Oh, did I? Okay, get files from folders recursively. I think this needs to be returning. Okay, there's a little bit missed here as well. That's sorry guys, there's a lot I'm trying to follow along and do with this. No path, we can just say that, there's an error, but we do need to return the files. Okay. So let's see how far we get now. So we're in our sprite frames. Oh, lube is not a function name. Set animation loop. Wow, there we go. I can't believe we got that far. Holy crap. Okay. And now what happens? We can't click these yet. So let's take a look at this and see what's going on. Pressed is not. Oh, we did not set up our previous selection and next selection, I believe. So let's do that really quick. I'm getting too excited. I'm ready to show you guys, but we're almost there. So this is inside of our, let's see, is this, this is inside of our save scene. So we have refresh buttons. Start new game from load. Save menu. So where's this function? Sorry guys, just bear with me. Previous selection. Okay. Yeah. This is right next to create animation 2D nodes in here. So yeah, this is exactly where we gotta have it. We need previous selection and next selection. So let's do those real quick. On previous selection, item, name, array, recursive files, layer, counter, name. We're going to say var index equals an int of the UI.get node of the layer. Then we're going to get the node of the counter name, and we get the text of that, and that should be our index. Then we're going to say index plus equals 1 if index is greater than or equal to the item name array size index equals 0. Then we say UI.get node layer .get node counter name .text equals string index. The UI.get node layer .get node counter name, or no, sorry, we did that. We set this earlier. The name layer .text equals item name array of index. Then the character .get node layer animation equals recursive files index. And we actually do have another function called sync animation, which is pretty small. Okay, we wrote previous selection. Let's write next selection. It takes the same variables or parameters, excuse me. We get the int, but instead of plus, we say minus equals. Instead of greater than or equal to, we say less than 0. Then we set it to the item name array size -1. Okay, then we set the layer get node counter name text to the index. We set the name to the index array. We set the character get node, the layer animation is a recursive file index, and we sync in recursive files. Where's recursive files? Oh, recursive files. Okay, recursive files. Then we just need sync animation. And what this should do is, let's look at this as we do it. We do animation nodes. Var animation nodes equals the character equals character.get children. The var current frame equals animation nodes 0.get frame. Var current progress animation nodes. This is actually what I was referring to earlier. This is what's common when you're trying to sync multiple animations together. And in our case, the different layers. Godot had this, I think, on their website. Animation nodes a.set frame and progress current frame and the current progress. Okay, animation recursive get children. What is it? In for a in animation nodes. Yeah. Okay, animation. Let's see what we say here. Okay, let's see what happened. Next selection. Oh, I did the same thing on this one. Okay. Okay, so that syncs our animations. Let's see where we're at. Start a new save. We can change. So we're still not quite animating, but we can change all the bits and pieces. And let's see what happens if we hit start. Yeah, it loaded into the world. So we've got all those. Let's see if we can fix a couple, if we've got any of these debug issues here. So one of the things is we're supposed to play layer animation dot play. Oops. Whoa. Let's see if we're getting here. You know what? The idle set animation loop. Animation 0 play. We should be getting there. Button. Visibile or visible. There we go. Look at that. So we have our start world button. This should load in. Let me see. World level. Man, if I could spell, this would be a lot easier. Instantiate. Oh wait, that's not our issue. Scenes. Oh, we need a capital scenes. World level. world/world.tscn. Let's see how that does it. Okay, that loads us in. We start again. We delete. Nope. We still got a couple things to fix. Let's just take a look. Oops. Delete button. Why are you not working now? Oh, because I don't think we connected it. So, or we should have. Maybe we did something funky and it went awry. Yeah, because we did this and then we edited this and added a argument called save1. But maybe it didn't. Maybe I hit cancel. I've done that before. Delete. Nope, not yet. pressed. Method expected. What does it say? Oh, yeah. We're trying to say delete save with, where's our variable is the save, and we can say save. That should do it. Yeah, we delete, we start a new one. Okay, we continue. Why isn't this guy playing though? Let's look, maybe it's this node itself. So we're not in here, we're in the player designer. It's all controlled through code though. So we're in here, it should be, let's see, we got to this point, so we're talking about we're in layer 7, inside there, we add all the layer 7 stuff. Well, I'm not too sure. Layer animation, because we should be playing. I just am comparing a little bit more with what I've got, but I think honestly with what we've got, it's enough to sort of show. I just want it to fully work before I close out. So yeah, we can do that, and then we can definitely delete and start another one. Start, he's using that same one. I think there's one more thing I want to do really fast, and that is in here, we can, let's do it inside the shoes. Let's go ahead and open this, and I'm going to open this. You can open in whatever app you use. Pinto's pretty good for the Mac. But I'm going to just take one of these, and I'm going to copy all, and see if I can do select all, image, maybe like like cut, yeah, and that's just gonna make a blank image, and I'm gonna save file as, and just call this 0 empty, and just use that as an image, and then back in Godot, let's see, we should have 0 empty, and if we let's see if we can just do it. So we copy here, and then can we go back? Yeah, let's do paste it into clothes, into gloves, hairstyle, eyes, headgear, and add-ons. And we should be able to just run, and now delete this guy, start a new one. Now we start with just the base, just the body. So yeah, I don't know, guys. This is just me playing around with Godot for a while, but I thought it was pretty cool. Let me know if it helped, or if you want me to see, you want to see like another video. But yeah, thanks for checking it out. All right, goodbye.